this game, each faction has a color affinity, and with the color affinity comes 8 different types of cards. And you'll notice on each card that we have a power level right in the center. The power levels range from 1, 2s, and 3s. So every single deck is perfectly balanced based on power levels. All of the powers are very basic functions within the game, but everyone is actually able to access all 8 powers throughout the entire game. It's just some of the affinities increase and decrease based on which factions you're using. The Aegis affinity allows you to fortify your units. The Grow card allows you to grow a chain faster by placing additional units that turn. So with this card, I would be able to place 3 additional units that turn. But since it's my affinity, that means I get to add an additional 1 to that to this card and place 4 additional units. If I was to use a burn against orange, I would receive a -1 to this card, making it a 2. I would only be able to remove 2 units from the beginning or end of his chain. The Ghost faction uses currently the Blink card. The Blink card allows you to move units to any new valid location. The arrow is pointing in the direction that it's facing. The front is always reserved for you to play off of. The goal is to have the longest chain when the game ends, and the game ends when you run out. In order to create a chain, have to feed into each other directionally. So the way I always explain it is that you have one side that is the direction side where it's facing, and then you're actually able to place another on each of the other 3 sides to feed directly into that chain. When we play Blink, a valid location to place is anywhere of these locations. He doesn't have to directly face into my chain. He can place his tile anywhere except for right here, because that's the beginning of my chain. My chain ends on this here and then moves in this direction. We've actually found that's really good to zigzag, because it's kind of like running from a rhinoceros sometimes in this game, and there actually is a line of sight involved in this game. So sometimes it's actually better to force your opponents to move in a direct line, but when you zigzag, it is definitely to your advantage if you have the space to do it. The Infect card is affiliated with the Blight figurine and the Blight faction, and what it does is it allows you to infect adjacent tiles, not diagonal tiles, to your color, and it converts them to your color and makes them remain in the same direction. And when I say adjacent, I mean directly and immediately adjacent to you. The Magenta is affiliated with the Charge card, the Siege faction, and what Charge is it returns nanobots within chains within one of your paths. Charge is a non-destructive power, so it allows anything within your chain's line of sight to be returned back to the player. We designed it to be able to allow for the game to be prolonged, and if an opponent is really close to ending the game by running out and they're on a mad dash to finish the game, you'll be able to return pieces back to them and actually prolong the game, so that way you could fix things in your chain or do something different in your next turn. The next card is affiliated with the Vertigo faction. It allows you to rotate a tile in any direction. There is no limit to the amount of turns you can have in one turn of playing a twist, as in the number of degrees you can rotate a tile. But this is definitely a hurt and a heal type of card, where you can twist units around in your opponent's chain, but you could also heal and rectify your own chain. So when a freeze card is played, it makes an opponent to the left of the player who played the card skip their reaction card phase. At 15, our game only has 2 phases in it. It has a placing phase and a reaction card playing phase. The freeze card forces players to skip their reaction card phase. It goes to the left and travels through in a circle, and when it comes back to the originator, The player who played the card can have the choice to not use the maximum of charges on the card and have it stop when it hits them, or they can continue the power of the card and skip their own reaction card phase to keep going through the chain.